You were a curse the day you were born, and you remain a curse until the day I die. The words echoed across the luxurious Okafor family mansion as heavy rain pounded the polished marble courtyard. 28-year-old Nneka Okafor stood frozen at the entrance, rain soaking her cream and gold dress. In her trembling hands was an elegant velvet gift box she had traveled 6 hours to deliver. Around her stood more than 60 guests, her uncles, her aunties, neighbors, church elders, business partners, house staff, security guards, even children who had come to celebrate Mama Grace Okafor's 60th birthday. Nobody expected the celebration to become a public humiliation. Nneka stared at the woman before her, her own mother. Her lips trembled. "Mama, what did I do?" Mama Grace's expression remained cold. "I should have listened when people warned me 28 years ago. You brought nothing but pain into this family. You are a curse." The words struck harder than the rain. Nneka felt her knees weaken. Her fingers loosened. The velvet box slipped from her hands. It hit the marble floor with a sharp crack. The lid slowly opened. Inside lay a breathtaking gold necklace with a delicate heart-shaped pendant engraved with the words, "Forever my daughter." The necklace rolled across the courtyard until it stopped at Mama Grace's feet. For one brief moment, everyone expected her to pick it up. Instead, she stared at it, then deliberately stepped over it. A gasp swept through the crowd. Tears filled Nneka's eyes. "I bought it because today is your birthday. I thought..." Her voice broke. "I thought maybe this year you'd finally see me as your daughter." Silence. Her older brother Chika lowered his head in shame but said nothing. Her younger sister Amaka wiped away a tear. Several aunties exchanged uncomfortable glances. Even the house staff looked heartbroken. Still, nobody defended her. Just then, the mansion gates opened. An elderly man hurried inside, protecting an old brown envelope beneath his jacket from the rain. People whispered immediately. "Isn't that Mr. Adeyemi, the old village postman? He thought he retired years ago." Breathing heavily, the old man stopped in front of Mama Grace. "I finally found your family." The courtyard fell silent. With shaking hands, he lifted the faded envelope. "I've been carrying this for 10 years. His eyes settled on Nneka. "This was supposed to reach you on your 18th birthday." Nneka frowned. "My 18th birthday?" The old man nodded. "It was your father's final instruction." The color drained from Mama Grace's face. "No," she whispered. "It can't be." For the first time in her life, Nneka didn't see hatred in her mother's eyes. She saw fear. Before anyone could move, Mama Grace rushed forward. "Give me that envelope." The old postman stepped back. "I'm sorry, madame. I failed your husband once. I won't fail him again." "What do you mean?" Nneka asked. The old man looked at her sadly. "Your father made me promise that no one, not even your family, would stop this letter from reaching you." A murmur swept through the guests. What letter? Why would Chief Okafor hide something from his own family? What's inside? Mama Grace's breathing became uneven. "Enough," she pointed at the envelope. "That letter belongs to this family. It belongs to me." Before the postman could answer, another calm voice interrupted. "I don't think it does." Everyone turned. Uncle Edwin walked slowly down the mansion steps, dressed in an expensive navy blue agbada. His face carried a gentle smile, but his eyes remained fixed on the envelope. "My dear Grace," he said softly, "today is your birthday. Let's not destroy what's left of it." He turned toward Neka. "My child, whatever is inside that envelope can wait until tomorrow." Neka tightened her grip on the velvet box. "No. If my father wrote something for me, I want to know why it was hidden." Just then, another black SUV drove through the gates. It stopped beside the marble fountain. The driver hurried to open the rear door. An elderly man carrying a leather briefcase stepped out. Several guests recognized him immediately. The family lawyer, Barrister Adebayo. He looked once at the envelope, then at Mama Grace, finally at Neka. His expression became grave. "I believe," he said quietly, "that letter has been waiting long enough."
Barrister Adebayo walked through the silent crowd, his polished shoes splashing lightly through the rainwater gathered on the marble courtyard. Nobody spoke. Even the children stopped whispering. The elderly lawyer stood beside the old postman and carefully examined the faded brown envelope. His fingers brushed away years of dust and moisture before he slowly turned it toward the crowd. Written across the front, in Chief Okafor's unmistakable handwriting, were the words, "To my beloved daughter, Nneka Okafor, to be opened only by her on her 18th birthday." A ripple of shock swept through the guests. Barrister Adebayo looked directly at Mama Grace. "I witnessed your husband write these instructions 11 years ago." Mama Grace's shoulders stiffened. "You knew?" "I did." "And you said nothing?" "I was instructed not to interfere unless this letter was prevented from reaching Nneka." The lawyer turned toward the gathering. "Today, that condition has been fulfilled." Uncle Edwin stepped forward, forcing a polite smile. "Barrister, surely this isn't the right place for family matters. The guests are watching. We can discuss this privately." Barrister Adebayo shook his head. "There is nothing to discuss." He accepted the envelope from the old postman and walked straight toward Nneka. "My dear, this letter belongs to you. No one, not your mother, not your uncle, not even I, has the legal or moral right to open it." Nneka stared at the envelope. Her hands trembled as she accepted it. For years, she had wondered whether her father had left her even a single word before his sudden death. Now, those words were finally in her hands. She looked toward her mother. "Mama, did you know about this?" Mama Grace couldn't answer. Tears gathered in her eyes as she slowly looked away. Nneka's heart tightened. "Why are you afraid?" Still, no answer. Instead, Mama Grace whispered almost to herself, "Some truths should remain buried." The sentence sent a chill through the courtyard. Amaka quietly moved closer to her sister. She squeezed Nneka's hand. "Whatever happens, I'm with you." Across the courtyard, Chika remained motionless. His fists were tightly clenched. His face revealed that he wanted to speak, yet years of obeying her mother kept him silent. Nneka took a slow breath. She carefully broke the old wax seal. The sound seemed unusually loud in the silent courtyard. She pulled out a neatly folded handwritten letter. Behind it was an old photograph. It showed a smiling little Nneka sitting on her father's lap beneath a large mango tree. He was pointing toward the camera while laughing. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I remember this day," she whispered. "Daddy bought me roasted corn afterwards." For the first time, a gentle smile crossed her face. She unfolded the letter. The handwriting instantly brought back memories. Her father's words seemed to come alive. "My precious Nneka, if this letter reached you on your 18th birthday, then I succeeded. But if you are reading it years later, someone I trusted betrayed me. A wave of whispers spread through the crowd. Ineka's eyes widened. She continued reading. Before you believe everything you've been told about your life, you must first know one truth. She turned the page. Her breathing stopped. The next page was missing. She searched inside the envelope again. Nothing. She looked underneath the photograph. Nothing. There should have been more. Many more pages. Instead, only jagged edges remained where the rest of the letter had been torn away. Ineka looked up in disbelief. Someone removed the rest. The courtyard erupted into confused murmurs. What? Who would do that? Why tear up Chief Okafor's letter? Ineka slowly lifted her eyes. Mama Grace stood trembling, tears streaming silently down her face. But she wasn't looking at the torn letter. She was staring at Uncle Edwin. Ineka followed her mother's gaze. For only a brief second, before he noticed anyone watching, Uncle Edwin smiled. It wasn't a smile of relief. It was a smile of a man whose secret had almost remained hidden forever.
The rain continued to pound against the marble courtyard. No one moved. Neka stared at the torn letter in her hands, her heart racing. Her father's final words echoed in her mind. If you're reading this years later, someone I trusted betrayed me. Her fingers tightened around the paper. Slowly, she looked at her mother. Mama? Her voice trembled. Did you know this letter was hidden from me? Mama Grace's lips parted, but no words came out. Instead, she lowered her eyes. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. Before she could answer, Uncle Edwin stepped between them. Grace has been through enough today. This family has embarrassed itself in front of our guests. We'll discuss this privately. Neka looked directly at him. No. The single word surprised everyone. She took another step forward. Every time I ask my mother a question, it's the you who answers. The courtyard became silent again. Several relatives exchanged uneasy glances. Even Chika slowly lifted his head. For the first time, he seemed to notice what Neka had noticed. Barrister Adebayo folded his arms. Miss Neka has every legal and moral right to know why her father's letter was hidden. Uncle Edwin forced a smile. And she will. But not today. He turned toward the guests. My family apologizes for this unfortunate scene. Please continue with the birthday reception. No one moved. Instead, the church elder cleared his throat. Chief Edwin, if a dead man's final wish has been ignored for 10 years, we believe it deserves to be heard. Several guests nodded in agreement. Uncle Edwin's smile disappeared. Meanwhile, Neka examined the envelope again. Something felt strange. She gently slid her fingers inside one last time. There was something still trapped in one corner, a tiny folded note. Carefully, she unfolded it. Most of the writing had faded with time. Only one sentence remained clear. If any page is missing, trust Mama Esther. Neka's eyes widened. Mama Esther. Everyone turned toward the elderly housekeeper standing near the mansion entrance. The silver tray in her hand slipped. Crystal glasses shattered across the marble floor. Mama Esther stood frozen. Her face had gone completely pale. No, she whispered. I never wanted this day to come. She suddenly turned and hurried into the mansion. Mama Esther! Neka ran after her. Amaka followed immediately. After a brief hesitation, Chika ran too. Behind them, Barrister Adebayo picked up his briefcase and followed. As the others rushed inside, Uncle Edwin remained in the courtyard. He glanced around to make sure no one was watching. Then, he quietly pulled out his phone. His voice dropped to a whisper. "She's looking for Mama Esther." A pause. "No, don't let the old woman speak." He ended the call and slipped the phone back into his pocket. When he looked up, Aunt Lydia was standing only a few meters away. Their eyes met. For the first time that day, Uncle Edwin looked nervous. Inside the mansion, Neka searched room after room. The kitchen. Nothing. The dining hall. Empty. The servants' quarters. No sign of Mama Esther. Housemaids looked at each other anxiously. "She just ran through here. She looked terrified. She kept saying..." One maid stopped speaking. Neka stepped closer. "What did she say?" The young maid swallowed hard. "She kept saying, 'He promised he would kill me if I ever told the truth.'" The room fell silent. Before Neka could ask who Mama Esther meant, a frightened scream echoed from the back corridor. Everyone ran toward it. The old storage room door stood open. Rain blew through a broken back window. Mama Esther was gone. Only her walking stick remained on the floor. Beside it lay a single page from Chief Okafor's missing letter. Neka slowly picked it up. Across the top of the page, written in her father's unmistakable handwriting, were the chilling words: "If anything happens to me, never trust my own brother." Neka's breathing stopped. Slowly, she turned toward the front of the mansion. Uncle Edwin was standing there, watching her. Neka's hands began to shake. She read the first line again. "If anything happens to me, never trust my own brother." The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. Slowly, she lifted her head. At the far end of the hallway, Uncle Edwin stood perfectly still. Their eyes met. For a brief moment, neither of them spoke. Then he smiled. It was calm, controlled, almost reassuring, but for the first time in her life, Neka saw something else behind that smile: fear. She folded the page carefully and slipped it into the envelope. "You knew," she whispered. Uncle Edwin frowned. "Knew what?" "My father was writing about you." A gasp spread through the servants gathered in the hallway. Uncle Edwin laughed softly. "Neka, you are emotional. That page is incomplete. You shouldn't accuse people without knowing the whole story." Barrister Adebayo stepped forward. "Then perhaps you'll explain why Chief Okafor would write those words." Uncle Edwin's smile disappeared. "I don't answer accusations." "No," Neka replied quietly, "but sooner or later, you'll answer the truth." Before anyone could speak again, Chika picked up Mama Esther's walking stick from the floor. Something caught his eye. There are fresh scratches on it. He knelt beside the broken window. Mud stained the marble beneath it. Several footprints led into the rain-soaked garden behind the mansion. One of the security guards hurried over. "Sir, someone went through the back gate only a few minutes ago." Neka turned immediately. "We have to find Mama Esther." The guards looked at Uncle Edwin. He hesitated for a fraction of a second. Then he forced a nod. "Search the entire estate." Within seconds, security officers scattered across the grounds. Family members followed. The birthday celebration had completely dissolved into confusion. Only Mama Grace remained standing silently near the hallway. She looked at the page in Neka's hand. Then she covered her face. My God, it's happening exactly as he feared. Neka heard her. She walked toward her mother. What did Daddy fear? Mama Grace slowly lowered her hands. For the first time that day, she looked directly into her daughter's eyes. I tried to protect you. By calling me a curse? Pain flooded Mama Grace's face. You'll never understand. Then help me understand. Before she could answer, a loud voice echoed from outside. We found something. Everyone rushed toward the rear garden. Near the old mango tree that Chief Okafor had planted decades earlier, one of the guards pointed toward the wet grass. A small leather handbag lay abandoned beneath the tree. Neka recognized it instantly. It belongs to Mama Esther. Barrister Adebayo carefully opened it. Inside were reading glasses, a handkerchief, a small bunch of keys, and an old brass key wrapped inside a piece of cloth. Attached to it was a faded paper tag, Storeroom B. Barrister Adebayo looked up. Does this mansion have a storeroom B? The older servants exchanged nervous glances. Finally, one elderly gardener spoke. It used to. Chief Okafor built a private archive beneath the west wing. After his death, it was locked. No one has entered it in years. Neka's heartbeat quickened. She looked at the brass key. My father left something there. Uncle Edwin stepped forward immediately. That basement is unsafe. It should remain sealed. The gardener frowned. It wasn't unsafe yesterday. Again, silence. Neka noticed several relatives beginning to stare at Uncle Edwin with growing suspicion. Every time a clue appeared, he wanted people to stop looking. She reached for the key. I'm going. Uncle Edwin blocked her path. No. Barrister Adebayo moved between them. Legally, Miss Neka has every right to access her late father's private records. Uncle Edwin clenched his jaw. For several long seconds, nobody moved. Then, Mama Grace spoke. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Let her go. Everyone turned. She looked exhausted, defeated. If the truth has waited 28 years, it deserves to be heard. Tears rolled down Neka's face. It was the first time her mother had defended her. Only slightly, but it mattered. The old gardener led the group toward the west wing of the mansion. They descended a narrow staircase covered in years of dust. Cobwebs hung from the walls. The air smelled old and forgotten. Finally, they reached a heavy steel door. Faded paint across it read, Storeroom B. Neka inserted the brass key. Her hand trembled. The lock resisted. Then, click. The old door slowly creaked open. Dust filled the air. Sunlight filtered through a tiny window high above. Shelves lined the room. Boxes, files, old photographs, family records, and in the very center of the room sat a large wooden chest. Across its lid, written in Chief Okafor's handwriting, were the words, Only Neka must open this.